All right, all right. I can't see the chat, so I'm not sure if you can hear me or not. I believe that you can. Hey, give me a thumbs up if you can hear this. Cool. Thank you. We'll try to get started right at 7. All right, all right, all right. This is fun, man. This is FUN, friends. About another minute or so, and we'll get started. Okay. All right. Welcome to Fasting 2022. You may want this book to move forward. If you don't have that book, you can get this book online. You will want to get this book. And if you don't get that book, get that book. And if you don't have that book, take good notes. All right. And so I believe that starting the year off of 2022, that we have spent the last couple years seeing people suffering and dying, mentally, physically, like truly dying, but also their hopes and their aspirations and their dreams dying. I want you to know that this world creates static to keep you busy, whether it's emails or Facebook or work or news or whatever it is that the world is so loud that it's really hard sometimes to listen to our own souls, our own self. What is it that I'm supposed to be doing with this crowded life that I'm living? And so that's one thing that fasting will do. The next thing, it'll help you with your health. And so from improving immune regulation, when you start to fast, it helps to change the way that your body metabolizes everything that you consume. And so it gives everything a break. It gives your anti-aging system a break. It gives your immune system a break. So if you want to re-regulate your immune system this year, start off with fasting. Also, genetic repair systems, as far as like being able to fight cancer, or there's a lot of women out there that have female issues. They can't have babies, they have miscarriages, they have PCOS, and fasting will help tighten that up as well. As far as insulin sensitivity, as far as people that are diabetic and people that struggle with sugar problems, but also, once again, guys and gals that deal with hormonal issues, fasting is a huge benefit for you as well. And then just in general, chronic diseases, if you have diabetes, or you have cancer, or you have heart disease, or any kind of cardiovascular issue or digestive issues like Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, digestive issues, IBS, this is going to be beneficial for you as well. And so there are two parts that we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about, once again, biblical fasting. This book right here changed my life. If you're a patient at Victory, it's the reason that you're at Victory. This is the next edition of that book. It's called The Fasting Edge. And then once again, The Obesity Code by Dr. Fung. We're playing this video in the clinic this week. And so sometimes we don't realize things need to change until we can quiet the noise. And sometimes that's what fasting is about too. It creates a tiny space in our lives where we can start to see these imperfections that we have, and we start to own up to some of those things. I believe that you'll never find yourself until you lose yourself. And so losing yourself means that getting out of your comfort zone, starting to do some of the things that you haven't been doing for a while. This is a huge thing for that, as far as making a true change in your life. You have to be committed to fasting, whether it's a day, it's 3 days, it's 7 days. I'll go through those here in a second, what the different fasts are. Anything great that you do will come and be out of your comfort zone. You know that you don't grow physically, emotionally, spiritually, unless you're uncomfortable. Being comfortable is not what this is about. I believe that you're chosen if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, if you've heard the word fasting, you have a calling on your life to do so. You're chosen. You're exactly where God would want you to be, even if it's exactly where you don't think that you would be today and that you need to be today. And that's what taming King's stomach and starting to press into God, starting to press into your own self. I'm a huge proponent of self-care, and I don't think enough of us do self-care. Like, enough of us don't take the time to do things for ourselves, and so do that. I want you to know that you're dealing with a lot of physical, chemical, emotional stress right now. But in the end, it's a heart issue. Is that if you're struggling with whether or not I'm supposed to move into this direction in my life, that you're probably struggling with a heart issue. Like, something's not firm in here. You're not certain with these decisions that you're making. And so once again, you would want to fast because of that. some questions to ask yourself. And so write these down. We're going to be taking some notes tonight. What do you want to lose this year? So if you're fasting, if you are going to give up on something, right? Or at least for a short time. What is the overall reach of this in your life? Like, what is the permanent part that you want this to be in your life? What do you want to lose this year going through this? I want to lose an addiction. I want to lose 30 pounds. I want to lose the constant worrying about my job or about COVID or whatever it is. Another question to ask yourself is, who are you? Whose are you? Who are you? Well, you first name, last name, but what is your purpose? Whose are you? Are you God's? Are you a non-Christian, non-believer that you just don't know exactly who you want to be? These are questions that fasting helps to answer. Who are you? Whose are you? What are you going to lose this year? What breaks your heart? What are the things that breaks your heart and that you've always felt like in your life that you want to do something about that? You see child trafficking, or you see homelessness. You see, for me, I see moms that have kids that the dad's not around, and that mama needs health care, and that kid needs health care. That kind of stuff breaks my heart. What breaks your heart? I'd say that fasting is not a religion, but it's about a relationship. That the certainty is the opposite of faith, and that we're not doing fasting because God is a genie and we're going to rub his fasting bottle, and we're going to get what we want out of it. But we want to embrace the power of not being the same. You can't just stay at the surface that what you've been doing and expect God to move. We've got to make some changes, and certainty is the opposite of faith. And so I may not be certain that this is what I'm supposed to do, but I believe it's what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to go in that direction. So what is fasting? Fasting is removing something that's not as important for something that's more important. Write that down. Fasting is removing something that is not as important for something that is more important. Removing Facebook and Twitter and TV and email. Removing funky conversations from my life. I have a woman that she used to have an aunt call her every day and just brought her down. And I said, hey, you know what? We need to fast your aunt. We need to remove that relationship during the week. We need to move that to the weekend. And it changed her life that she didn't have to deal with that all the time. Of course, she loves her aunt and she respects her aunt and she's there for her aunt. But the same conversation that happens on Monday happens on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday will happen on Saturday. So we schedule that. Removing something that is not as important for something that is more important. Don't let the necessities of life overrule the priorities of life. The things that you feel like you need to do may not be the things that you need to do based upon their order in what it takes me to live my life. What are those things that you're doing that we could lose? As far as your healthy benefits, once again, weight loss and lower cholesterol levels. It promotes growth hormone production, which burns fat, builds muscle, and lowers sugar, so you'll lose weight doing a fast. Weight loss, lower cholesterol, just like I said, helps to regulate the blood sugar, which in turn decreases inflammation. It gives people like with fibromyalgia and pain problems, it gives you a break. What does it mean to have toxins in your body? So when I start to fast, I start to detox. Toxins accumulate through eating processed or fast foods. Colors, preservatives that we eat get hidden deep inside of you, and so we want to bring those out this year. What happens when your body expels toxins? You may become tired, fatigued. Biblical fasting means that you'll probably get closer relationally, spiritually with your Father. What are the risks of fasting? Well, dehydration is the first thing, so make sure that you're drinking plenty of water. You should expect that your body is going to be hungry, and you expect hunger pains. You should expect to lose weight. Eventually, after 7 to 10 days, you're going to lose the weight, or you're going to feel great, or something's going to change. But definitely within the 7-day to 11-day range, something in your body changes and you're not as hungry anymore. When you stop consuming as much sugar as well, your body stops requesting sugar. Your insulin goes down, so your body actually doesn't require a lot of sugar anymore. Questions that you'll ask yourself is, what has God taught you during your fasting? From biblical fasting, and I'm going to go through these, so just stay with me. We're looking at an hour tonight. The motive of fasting is that I'm hungry. I'm hungry for God. I'm hungry for life. What I need is more life. What I need is more God. What I want is God. Who I need to be around is not the people that I've been spending my time with over the last year, 2 years. I need to spend some time with God. As the deer pants for water, so my soul longs for you. When am I going to meet you? When am I going to meet God? When can I be in the presence of God? How long, O Lord, will you forsake me? Fasting is a hunger for God that transcends and trumps other hungers in our life. It's that moment when we go from, I'm using this time I normally set aside to eat and to press into God and to pray and to seek His face. I'm going to take this time that I normally watch this television show. I'm going to press into God. I'm going to pray during this time. I'm going to take this time that I normally do this, and I'm going to press into God and pray. I usually eat meat for dinner. I'm going to not eat the meat for dinner. I'm going to go in my closet. I'm going to go spend that time in prayer. Faith is a garden, and every day you have to work on it or it dies. And when your faith dies, that you die. Some say, I just want the word to come into my life now, and it will. But God plants and uses this fasting time, plants the seed, and then treats it like a garden, because the garden will be in the future, but you plant the seeds today. That's what fasting is about. Jesus is the root, and growth happens in the dirt. God's not a genie, so you embrace the process. Embrace the mundane. Embrace the same thing every day. The gardener may come every day after day, sees nothing, but doesn't mean to quit. No, it means that something new may be growing, but it's just not out yet. Matthew 4, Jesus goes into the wilderness fasting for 40 days. Satan comes into the picture, tempts him with worldly things, with bread. I think that's a good moment. God says, or Jesus says, He is the bread. He is life. And Satan tempts him with bread, this one thing that so many people today, they struggle with. Bread turns into sugar, turns into inflammation, eventually turns into some kind of problem. Afterward, as Jesus returns, his very first sermon involves Matthew 6. So Jesus goes into the wilderness, he fasts. If you don't think that fasting for battle is important, then you're wrong. Fasting for battle, whether it's you've got a marriage issue, you've got problems with your kids, you've got a sick human being at your house, you've got a family member in the hospital, you're sick. Fasting breaks you free from that. And when you fast, Matthew 6, 16, 18 says, don't look gloomy like the hypocrites, for they disfigure their faces that their fasting may be seen by others. Truly I say to you, they have received their reward. But when you fast, anoint your head and wash your face. Look good. When you start to fast, don't complain all the time about fasting. Don't be like one of those hypocrites that goes around moaning and wailing and suffering because you're fasting. You're fasting, and you're supposed to do your best to look good in this time. Anoint your head, wash your face, that your fasting may not be seen by others, but by your Father, because that's why you're fasting. Your Father who sees in secret will reward you. Biblical examples of fasting. Moses had a 40-day fast before God gave him the 10 Commandments. Elijah fasted 40 days. Jesus fasted 40 days. Esther called the city to fast for 3 days, and God spared them from the evil plot of Haman. Hannah was depressed. She couldn't have a baby, so she fasted in 1 Samuel. God heard her prayer, and soon Samuel was born. Judah, Ezra, Daniel, the people of Nineveh, Nehemiah, David, Anna, Paul, Peter, they all fasted. Beware of practicing your righteousness before other people in order to be seen by them, for then you will have no reward from your Father who is in heaven. Thus then you give to the needy no sound to trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may be praised by others. Truly I say to you, they have received their reward. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. When you pray, you must not be like the hypocrites, for they love to stand and pray in the synagogues and at the street corners, that they may be seen by others. But truly I say to you, they have received their reward. When you pray, go into the room, shut the door, and pray to your Father who is in secret. When you're starting to fast, you're going to fast to your Father who is in secret. So beautiful, man. This will change your life if you'll allow it to change your life. Matthew 6, 1 through 26 is what that is. It says, when you fast, number 17, anoint your head and wash your face, that your fasting may not be seen by others, but the Father who is in the secret. Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. I believe that when you fast, that's what you're doing. Joshua fasted for 40 days. Daniel fasted for 21 days from bread, meat, and wine. You know that if you're watching this, you're called to fast. You can't watch this and dig in a little bit and go, you know what, that's not for me. I'm supposed to do this thing. What happens when we fast? Well, spiritually, God's going to body slam you in a good way. So be excited. You'll renew relationships, and you'll renew that relationship with your dad or your mom or your cousin, or whatever it is, whatever that is going to happen in your life, it'll happen through fasting. It'll happen. When we fast, we begin to pursue God in a more intense way. Our prayer life becomes more serious. So not just I'm praying, I'm starving my body so that I can receive clarity, certainty from you, Lord. The voice of God will become clearer. Repentance will occur. You'll start to realize some of the things that you've gotten used to, that you've done to your body, that you've been doing to your body. You'll recognize that those things aren't the things I'm supposed to be doing. You'll start repenting. You'll start mourning the loss of the person that we just lost, and God will fill your heart. When you fast, biblically, you know you're letting God know that you love Him, that you're seeking Him, that you're going after Him, just as He's gone after you. Your senses for the things of heaven heighten. This is a personal experience. You notice that different people's attitudes, and that person is like a joyful, prayerful person, but I didn't know that because I was so clouded. Faithfulness will lead to fruitfulness in this process. Finally, the static of the world would darken. I mean, isn't that what you've been wanting, is for this world to be quiet so you can listen and hear? John 15, 1 through 4 in the ESV says that I'm the true vine. My Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, He takes away. And every branch that does bear fruit, He prunes, that it may bear more fruit. Fasting is pruning. Although you are clean because of the word that I have spoken to you, abide in me and I in you. And as the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. It's a two-way street, this going to heaven thing is. So, here's what you do. You're going to go get that book. Okay, I'm going to read through these fasts that are in here. When we talk about intermittent fasting may be like an 8-hour fast. I'm choosing to eat only between 12 p.m. and 8 p.m. And I'm not going to eat during the rest of the time. We have a special fasting group that does it like this. They do Monday, 12 to 8 eat, 1 to 8, 2 to 8, 3 to 8, and then on Friday they totally don't eat at all. They measure their ketones and their sugar to see if they're actually burning fat versus burning sugar. Here's the thing, when you come off of sugar, you come off of these breads, you're gonna start burning fat for energy, and you're gonna lose weight, but also your energy will be so much better and so much more abundant, because that sugar energy, it's not long lasting. It doesn't take, it takes a lot of energy from sugar to produce energy in your body, where from fat it does not. And so that's that. This book right here, I'm going to go through a couple fasts. These are the 7 types of biblical fasting. Once again, you can do intermittent fasting if you want to. I would recommend that you go get this book if you want to dive into it. Jason Fung, MD. He's got a bunch of videos on YouTube and just everywhere. So the types of biblical fasting. Number 1, the Esther fast, fasting a 3-day fast. In Esther 4:16, we read that the fast initiated by Queen Esther, she asked the people to fast for me, neither eat nor drink for 3 days, night or day. My maids and I will fast likewise. She needed favor with the king when she stood before him. The purpose of the 3-day Esther fast is to seek God's favor in the time of crisis. Number 2, the Daniel fast. This is the one that changed my life. So if you don't know my story, I was raised by a single mom. My dad was a terrible alcoholic. He would call every now and then, kind of give promises that were never kept. We spent some time as a youth, up till I was probably 8 or 9, and I would go to his house, and I was introduced to some things that I probably shouldn't be. When I got married, I asked him to come to the wedding, really less for enjoying and sharing my life, but more for rubbing it in your face that I'm going to do this marriage, and I'm going to have a family, and I'm going to have kids, and I'm going to show you. And I treated him like dirt because I felt like that he had treated me like dirt for decades. He got diagnosed with cancer and was told that he had a short time to live during my first fast. This is before Victory. I was in chiropractic school at the time. And it woke me up. It woke my soul up that I've been holding on to bitter roots. I've been holding on to something nasty, nasty. And I thought at first that it was Satan, like trying to tempt me. So I was receiving information to break my fast, and then I was under the realization, because I was fasting, that I could hear God better, that it's time to forgive him. And I forgave him, and it took 30 years of trauma down to 3 months of a friendship. And those are the 3 months that when I go back and think about our relationship, I think about those 3 months, not the damage and the trauma that came from the burden of being a kid that was left by his daddy. And so this will change your life if you'll do it. And so I encourage you, I'm going to read you a couple questions that the book has. If you don't have this book, that's okay. But these are the kind of questions that you ask yourself. The Daniel fast is found in Daniel 10:2-3. In those days, I, Daniel, was mourning 3 full weeks. I ate no pleasant food, no meat or wine came into my mouth, nor did I anoint myself at all till 3 whole weeks were fulfilled. This is a 3-week fast. It's a 21-day fast. It's the 3-7. 7 is the number of completion in the Bible. A Daniel fast is only vegetables, fruit, and water. It includes no bread of any type, no pasta, and no meat. It'll be one of the greatest, healthiest things that you ever do. Your entire system gets healthier. The result that Daniel got was this. Suddenly a hand touched me, which made me tremble on my knees and on the palm of my hands. And he said to me, O Daniel, man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak to you and stand upright, for I have now been sent to you. Now I have come to make you understand that that what will happen to your people in the latter days, for the vision refers to many days yet to come. And just as God had a vision for Daniel, I believe that God has a vision for your life as well. Number 3, the self-examination fast. It's a one-day fast. In Leviticus 23:27, it says that also the 10th day of this 7th month shall be the day of atonement. It shall be a holy convocation for you. You shall afflict your souls and offer an offering made by fire to the Lord. What is this about? It's a confirming scripture of Jeremiah 36:6 that says, therefore go thou and read in the roll which thou hast written from my mouth, and the words of the Lord in the ears of the people in the Lord's house upon the fasting day. I love that. Upon the fasting day. They had a day of fasting back then. Why? Because they were setting aside a certain time to spend time with the Lord. Once again, we get so staticky. We get so busy in this life, and we forget what it is that we're living for in the first place. This world creates static by keeping us busy working, Facebooking, Instagramming, YouTubing. There's all this pressure that keeps on happening, and fasting helps you to calm that static, to settle your soul so that you can hear from God. Fast before battle. In Judges 20, there's a powerful chapter about fasting. God had told the children of Israel to fight the tribe of Benjamin because the tribe of Benjamin had become perverted and God was ready to judge them. And he said, I want you to go fight against them. They prayed and sought the Lord and then asked him, should we go now? And God said, yes. He told them to send Judah up to the battle first. Then they sent Judah and his men to battle, and they lost the battle, losing 22,000 men. They did just what God had told them to do, and it failed, and it was a terrible disaster. They went home and cried and sought God as earnestly as they knew how to do, and they asked again, should we go out and fight today? And God said, absolutely go. They went out and fought the battle, lost 18,000 men. In 2 days, 40,000 soldiers were dead. God had told them to do that. But when we come to verse 26, it says, then all the children of Israel, that is all the people, went up and came to the house of God and wept. And they sat there before the Lord and fasted that day until evening. They offered burnt offerings, peace offerings before the Lord. And the children of Israel fasted that day until evening, brought a peace offering before the Lord. And if you read the rest of the story, they go out and completely kill the enemy. What's that about? Is that your major battles in life should happen with Jesus, not without him. They should go with him, not without him. And to engage that part of your own neurology, your own spirit, you go fasting. Number 5, fasting to live God's judgment from another's life. The 5th fast is found in 1 Kings 21:27 through 29. So it was when Ahab heard those words that he tore his clothes, put a sackcloth on his body, and fasted, and lay in the sackcloth, and went about mourning. And the word of the Lord came to Elijah the Tishbite, saying, see how Ahab has humbled himself before me. Because he has humbled himself before me, I will not bring calamity in his days. And in the days of his son, I will bring calamity on his house. Number 6, fast for healing. This is really why I started my fast. When you get to this book and it says, what is fasting? A threefold cord is not quickly broken. So fasting, prayer, and praying, or fasting, prayer, and giving. That's like your threefold cord. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. I remember the day one, it asks you in this book. We've got these at Victory for $25. It says, pray and stay in God's word, drink lots of water, expect a headache or hunger pains that day, because you will. You've got to get through that, dude. If you are drinking something or eating something and you stop eating it and drinking it and you get a headache from it, that is a problem. That is an addiction. That's your body's addicted to it. I remember writing down in here my ear wouldn't stop ringing. I was diagnosed with an incurable autoimmune condition called Meniere's disease, and I was miserable. And I fasted because I needed healing. Like I needed that. What I got from it was healing throughout my whole generations of family. But on day 21, my ear stopped ringing. On day 11, I renewed the relationship with my Father. 21-day fast. You can do it. You don't have to do a 21-day, but you should do something. It's good stuff. So back to that, the reason I was saying that, the fast for healing. 1 Corinthians has become known as the love chapter. Isaiah 58 is known as the fasting chapter. In that chapter we read, "Is this not the fast that I have chosen, to loosen the bonds of wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, to let the oppressed go free, that you break every yoke? It is not to share your bread with the hungry, that you bring to your house the poor who are cast out. When you see the naked, that you cover him, and not hide yourself from your own flesh. That then your light shall break forth like the morning. Your healing shall spring forth speedily, and your righteousness shall go before you. The glory of the Lord shall be your rear guard. Then you shall call, and the Lord will answer. You shall cry, and he will say, here I am." Over the last couple of years, have you wondered where God was? He's still there. Have you wondered why these leaders of the world, why they're not following him? Because they don't. They worship another king. They worship another God. They worship another God. Get that? And so the same God that a lot of these leaders worship is not the same God, even though they say it is. But that's also why you haven't felt a lot of his presence in the last 2 years, is because it's not in it. The last fast is a dominion fast. I pray that somebody listening to this does this. Why did Jesus fast for 40 days and 40 nights? He did it for dominion. He did it for authority. Adam lost dominion when he ate the fruit of the tree God told him not to eat it. Esau lost his birthright by eating. In the wilderness, the children of Israel lost the promised land by eating quail when God had given them his supernatural provision of manna. Is that meat that you feel like eating rather than fasting worth the risk of you missing the promise of God? Fasting makes you tough in the spirit. Fasting makes the inner man rise up and say, devil, do you think that you can mess with me? Inflict my body. Greater is he that is in with me. I don't need food to recognize who I am. In fact, it's more powerful if I don't eat it. I don't need food. And certainly you can't tempt me with your food, Satan. You go, Dr. Jake, that's a little bit harsh. Well, remember that we're drunk on food. We're drunk on it. We eat too much of it. If you didn't eat for a day, would you be healthier because of it? It's a question to ask yourself. Do you need a breakthrough in your life? You can't, man, you have done everything. You have been to counseling. You have been in your Bible. You've done everything. You've been praying. You got people praying for you. But the one thing you haven't done is you didn't fast and pray. Like, what if you did that? What if you said, for real, God, I'm going to eat this salad, and then after this salad, I usually have chicken, but I'm not going to eat that chicken. It usually takes me how long to eat chicken? 4.5 minutes. Like, break it down like this, because you're not going to want to be in there for that long. You're going to get distracted. Don't take your phone into your prayer time. No iPads, no phones. Not because your Bible's not on your phone, not because you can't record but because you might get a notification. You might have a temptation to push that home button and go scrolling through Facebook. This is the only time this year, maybe even the only time in your life that you ever do this. So please do this. Fasting, once again, it improves immune regulation, so it helps your immune system. It stimulates cellular autophagy, which is your cell turnover and you not developing cancer. Fasting helps that. It improves genetic repair mechanisms so that you don't develop the cancer in the first place. It improves insulin sensitivity, so it helps with your blood sugar regulation and your hormones and your addiction to sugar. It helps with chronic diseases, but not just that. Like, once again, and what fasting are we talking about? Once again, you can just choose, I'm only going to eat 6 hours today. Weight loss, lower blood cholesterol, promotes growth hormones that helps you to burn fat and build muscle. But what is intermittent fasting? Well, it's choosing to do nothing or something else during that time. I'm only going to eat for 6 hours a day for the next 2 weeks, and I'm going to be really hungry. But while I'm hungry, my sugar is going to be burning up. Eventually, I'll become a fat burner because I'm going to use all my sugar up, and then I'm going to lose weight. Fasting is a big deal for people that are stuck. If you've done Weight Watchers or you've been at Victory and you lost your 30 pounds or your 45 pounds or whatever your goal is, but you still got another 15 to go and you haven't lost weight in 60 days, intermittent fast. You say, you know what? I'm only going to eat between 11 and 7. That's it. Nothing else goes in my body. I can drink water during these times, but no caffeine, no coffee. If you're fasting coffee, I wish you the best of luck. If you start to get that banging headache and you need relief from that, you don't take a Aleve or ibuprofen for that. Maybe drink a little bit of green tea that does have some caffeine in it if you're trying to get off of coffee, or just suffer through it and it'll be over soon. If there's any questions that you have about this over the next few weeks, make sure you drop those in the comments below. Like this video so that it gets out to the rest of the world. And I think that's it. We've covered fasting journal. The questions in this book will change your life. If you don't have that book, we got that book at Victory. If you don't have that book, this book, The Fasting Edge. Hey, you know what? If you and I had somebody said this, oh, I don't like Jensen Franklin. Well, I don't care. It's not about Jensen. It's about the book. That's you being in your way. Get out of your way. Oh, well, I don't like the word obesity. But you need to read that book. And if you don't like that word, then go find that guy on YouTube. Oh, I don't like to read. Maybe you don't like to grow. I don't want to fast. Maybe you don't want to grow. I don't believe that I should fast. I'm a diabetic. Maybe if you fast, we can help you to get rid of your diabetes. It'll happen. So I don't know exactly how this works on the live videos. I think what happens next is that I push the X button and it records it, and then I'm going to make this public. And so share this with your friends and family. A couple other resources. Once again, Jensen Franklin's book, Dr. Jockers, JOCKERS.com, draxe.com, and that's it. Hey, I love you, Shine. You're the man. Have a great day, guys. Bye.